Have you ever had a gut feeling so strong it made you do something you couldn't logically explain? I was standing at the gate, boarding pass on my phone, watching the line shrink ahead of me. Flight to Phoenix, 2-hour trip, nothing complicated. I'd taken this exact route 4 times in the past 2 years for work. I knew the airline, knew the terminal, knew which side of the plane got the better window view, and I could not make myself move. The family in front of me shuffled forward. The gate agent scanned another pass. The jetway door was wide open. I stood there with my laptop bag strap cutting into my shoulder and something in my chest pulling hard in the opposite direction. Not anxiety exactly, I'm not a nervous flyer. Something more specific than that. Like a hand pressing flat against my sternum saying, "Not this one." My phone buzzed. Text from my colleague Rachel. "You on yet? We're presenting at 8 a.m. sharp. Don't miss this connection." I stared at the message, stared at the gate. The line was almost gone. I called her. "Rachel, I think I need to take a different flight." "What? The presentation is tomorrow morning. There is no different flight. This is the last one tonight." "I know. I can't explain it. Something feels off." She was quiet for a second. Then, "Marcus, get on the plane. You're having a moment. It happens. Just board. Last call for flight 447 to Phoenix," the gate agent announced, looking directly at me. "I know," I told Rachel, and I stepped out of line. I heard her say my name as I pulled the phone from my ear. My heart was going fast. I felt genuinely unhinged. I was about to miss a critical client presentation over a feeling I couldn't name or source or justify to a single person, including myself. I'd made it about 30 feet from the gate, heading toward the main terminal, when I stopped walking. What was I doing? My mother didn't raise me to fall apart over feelings. I turned around and started back toward the gate. I got maybe 20 steps before a voice behind me said, "Sir, can you hold on a moment?" Airport security. Young woman, lanyard, radio on her hip. She wasn't aggressive about it, just firm. Said the gate agent had flagged me. I'd been visibly hesitating. Stepped out of line at the last second, walked away, then turned back. She said it read as erratic, and they needed to do a quick screening. I told her my mother didn't raise me to be erratic either, but apparently today was full of surprises. They brought me to a side room. Standard questions. What was the purpose of my travel? Who would I be meeting? Why had I initially walked away from the gate? I explained the presentation. I explained the feeling. The feeling part did not help my case. They went through my bag. Scanner, manual check, the whole thing. I sat there watching my phone light up, Rachel calling twice, then my manager, then Rachel again. The gate would be closed by now. The plane would be pushing back. 40 minutes later, they cleared me. Nothing to find, because there was nothing to find. I walked out to the main terminal and went straight to the rebooking counter. The agent told me the next available flight to Phoenix was the following morning at 6:15. I'd land at 8:40. The presentation started at 8. She was sorry. There was nothing available. I called Rachel back. She didn't yell. She was quiet, which was worse. She told me she'd handle it, cover what she could, and that we'd talk when I got back. Then she said she had to go and hung up. I found a seat near the window by my old gate and sat down. I'd blown the presentation. I'd let my whole team down. For a feeling, I put my head back against the seat and closed my eyes. That's when I heard the TV. Not the words at first, just the tone, that specific drop in a news anchor's voice that means something has happened. I opened my eyes. The screen above the gate across from me was showing aerial footage. A runway. Emergency vehicles fanned out in a wide arc. Lights strobing in the dark. Breaking news banner across the bottom. Flight 447, Phoenix bound. Diverted after catastrophic landing gear failure on departure. Plane returned to airport. Emergency evacuation on the runway. Multiple injuries reported. Numbers unconfirmed. Flight 447. I sat completely still for a long time. The footage showed the evacuation slides deployed. Passengers moving across the tarmac in the dark, surrounded by fire crews. One of the engines had seized on climb out. The crew had managed to bring it back around, but the landing had been hard. Reports were saying somewhere between a dozen and 20 people transported to hospital, mostly from the slide evacuation, broken bones, sprains, one person described as serious. I watched the coverage for 2 hours without moving from that seat. They interviewed a passenger near the end of the broadcast, a man in his 50s with a bandage along his forearm. He said he'd had a strange feeling before boarding, but figured he was being foolish. He laughed a little when he said it, the kind of laugh that isn't really a laugh. I texted Rachel a link to the news story without saying anything else. She didn't respond that night. In the morning, she called me before I boarded the 6:15. She said she'd seen it. She said the presentation had been rescheduled. She said she was glad I'd missed the flight. I told her I still couldn't explain why I'd walked away. She said maybe some things don't need explaining.